Q, heel. Good. Good, sit. Hello, and welcome back here to Animal Training Development Center. We are with Q today, and Q has been participating in our Board and Train program. This is actually day 9 of his 10-day program, and so we're taking this time to give you a little video and show you what we've been up to and give you some great tips and get you guys started doing this yourselves. When we get into training, training is such a relationship as much as it is an understanding of command words. So what we're working on here with Q is this idea that jumping isn't allowed. And I know that you guys had mentioned that jumping on people was one of the things that you wanted us to work on, and we certainly have been working very hard at that. One of the things I noticed about Q is he's very irresistible, and I think that you agree. We don't mind if he jumps up when you want him to, but we just don't want him assuming that he can jump up any time that he wants. And so what I've been working on is just keeping him on leash, and as he comes up to greet me, making sure that he doesn't initiate jumping, but then we're actually teaching him a word. So if you want him to jump on you, hup, good. We just say hup, and maybe a little pat on our lap, or whatever you'd like, and he will jump right up on you. Then we've been working on off, off, and if he doesn't, we're just using our leash. No, off, and then back and hup, good, and good boy, off. When you're doing the off part, be sure that you don't push him off. As soon as I touched him to push him off, that was a reward for jumping up in the first place. So what we're really trying to do is keep him on leash for a lot as he starts to get used to this in your home. And he's getting the idea, but he is a very passionate dog. He's got a lot of love to offer, and I think he'd be a great therapy dog if you guys ever want to work toward that. But we can talk about that later. The fact is that this gift that he has, this big heart that he has, and his really love of people and getting to know people is a good thing. And of course, with every good thing, there can be some negative side effects. And so the negative side effect, of course, is that he can become kind of demanding, and he can jump up, and he's got sharp little paws, which we're going to trim for you. My wife always sends our daycare and board and train dogs home with nice done nails, and so she's a vet tech, and so she'll do that. But even so, nails can be kind of sharp, and if you've got an elderly person visiting or people with shorts even, those nails could be very uncomfortable. So we don't want a dog just to assume that they can jump up whenever they get near somebody. And so what I've been doing is making sure that he's on leash and that he comes up, good dog, and then when I say hup, that's his permission to get up. Good boy. And then we can just, let him enjoy a little time. But then when we're done with that time, we want to go to off, off. Good boy. And then he gets touched again. So the touching comes when he responds to the hup. Good. And then when we go off. Good. Now you got it. Yes. Hup. Good boy. And off. Good boy. So it's a win-win for him. Only way we keep this going is if you guys keep it going at home. And I know you've missed him. I know it's hard. All I can encourage you to do is if you want him on your lap and he's coming charging at you, just go ahead and say hup, even when he's maybe 6 feet away. And we found out he's pretty athletic. He can probably jump from 6 feet away and land on your lap, even sitting in a couch. You'll see he does the hup command really well into the back of my van, which is a pretty good size jump for a dog his size, but he has no problem with it. So very athletic, very passionate little dog. He just has a lot of fun styles to him. He played really nicely with every dog that we put in front of him, whether it was a big German Shepherd or whether it was a little Pomeranian. He's equally fun to have around and can hold his own. I mean, he doesn't back down from bigger dogs, but yet he's not a bully toward little dogs. He's really a lot of fun. Another cute thing that we noticed about him is I was watching yesterday on TV, they had horse racing. And I don't know if you know this, but your dog is a big fan of horse racing. And in fact, very into watching the horses run and barking, and it looked like he was even cheering them on through the program there. So he likes to watch some TV with you, and it's just got a lot of love to give. So again, those are all positive things. The downside to a dog like that is they have a tendency to develop into separation anxiety, and that's not something that we want. So I'm going to give you some tips on that. They also have a tendency to get a little clingy at times, and we're still even working on that ourselves, so that, you know, if we do a training session and then we go for a little walk and he gets a chance to potty and all that stuff, then it's time for him to go in his crate and then for somebody else to come out and do some training. And it took him several days to get used to that whole idea that it wasn't always going to be about him all the time. So he's learning better to wait his turn and doing a pretty good job of it. And so I think we've done a lot of great work with him. We noticed that when we first got him, like you said, you guys do what is known as demand feeding. So you've got food out for him all the time to eat at home, and that may work well for you. And you can go right back to that if you choose. But we put him on a regular schedule, like our dogs are on a regular schedule. The fact is, with 4 dogs, my 3 and then him, there's no way his food's going to be allowed to be just left out without one of the other dogs trying to gobble it up at some point. So we got him on a schedule, and the first couple of days he really didn't eat much. And so I got him this Kong toy, and what I've been doing with this, and I don't have to anymore, he's really doing great with this schedule now. He's really eating all his food both in the morning and at night, and that's ideal. And I think that is something, if you continue doing, just feeding him, you know, between 6:30 and 7:30 in the morning, and usually between 5 and 6 at night. He's really on a pretty good schedule of eating now, and he's eating all his food. But what I started to do is just a little peanut butter in the Kong toy here, and then I would pack it with some of his dried dog food, and we get him started on that. Kind of whetted his appetite, and then he was happy to finish the rest of his food in his bowl, because he is kind of a light eater, and maybe could use to gain a pound or 2, and so whetting his appetite is not a bad idea. And you can see he's found that peanut butter in that Kong toy and enjoying working at that. Of course, as he works at it, I packed in some of that dry food in there as well, so that he's getting some good nutrition from that, as well as the snack of the peanut butter. So, these Kong toys are very inexpensive. You could probably find one at a local pet store. I think they're probably around $10 or something, and you can continue with that, if you choose to. It's also a great chew toy for him. I know he likes his bone that we gave him, and he's really into that. But sometimes he'll just lay and chew on the Kong toy, even if there isn't peanut butter in there, and that's another good healthy option for him to teeth on. He's in what we call pupperty mode, kind of like puberty for kids, kind of the teenage stage. Think about it like junior high schooler. And so, he's lanky and he's growing, and at the same time, he's developing his own thoughts about the world, and so he's acting out on those. And so, it's kind of it's with every teenager, even if they're a good kid, they tend to go through a little rebellious streak, and maybe they're not as willing to do what you will ask them to as they used to be when they were a little bit younger. And that's just all to be expected. But at the same time, underneath it all, he's a really great dog and has a lot to offer. I think I can see why you guys miss him so much. It's just a wonderful dog to train with and to enjoy. So now we're going to go ahead and get into some of the obedience that we've been working on. And so the first thing that we teach every dog to do is this simple concept that you could call walk, if you want to put a word to it. But I always say this is the unspoken command. This is the one I shouldn't even have to say to a dog to do. Let's just assume, dog, in this case Q, that every time I put a leash on you, you should never pull me at any time for any reason. And if that's your philosophy as well, then we really don't have to say anything. In fact, as I start to walk around the room, you'll notice that he's really gotten pretty good at this. My job is to make sure he does his one job, and in this case, his one job is to keep some slack in the leash at all times. So I don't mind if he's ahead of me. I don't mind if he's to the right or to the left or behind. He can sniff the ground. He can, kind of do doggy things, but he has to keep some slack in the leash at all times. My job, like I said, is to make sure he does his job, and that simply means that right before he reaches the end of the leash at any time, I want to proactively give a little tug back and stop that. And so when we started training with him, we just started on the buckle collar that you had on him when you brought him. And what we found out, like right away, he didn't care. I mean, we do that technique, and I'd even do it harder. And you know, he's a little dog, so you don't want to put too much muscle in it. So I'm realizing I'm just not getting anything done this way. He just would continue to just rush right back out and try to pull, and really into marking, or used to be. So he was the type of dog, as soon as we walked down the sidewalk, you know, he'd lift his leg, you know, 3 steps in. And there's a difference between a legitimate need to urinate and a perceived need to mark territory, which at his age, again, being in puberty, is a very common thing for a male dog, especially not neutered, that they want to start to try to sow those oats and start to own things by lifting their leg on it. Several problems to that. First of all, you know, a dog gets in the habit of doing that, then likely they're going to be looking for places in your house to mark, or they're going to be looking for places to mark in any place that you go visit. So I don't want a dog getting kind of obsessed with the thought that every walk is all about going and marking territory. And the other thought about it, of course, is, you know, when they get on this idea that this is an obsession, it's never an enjoyable walk for the two of you. It's just basically he's on a mission, especially if you walk the same direction on a daily basis. He's going to be out there racing to the next spot and to the next spot and to the next spot. And I always joke, but you know, you've heard where they call it a pissing contest. It is. I mean, in the dog world, it's just that. So they want to go and see where, you know, so-and-so was there maybe an hour earlier, and they marked, and oh, no, you didn't. And they want to mark over that, and then so-and-so comes back, you know, the next day, and oh, no, you didn't. And, you know, they're back and forth doing it. So I try to break that whole thing. You know, the tip I have for you on that, when you go for walks with him, the first place that he wants to lift his leg and mark, let him go ahead and do it. But we're going to consider that your chance to urinate. So for the next 20 minutes, if I'm going to go for a walk with him, he shouldn't have to urinate again. There's, you know, no reason for you to have to urinate, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a 20-minute walk. So after the first time, then I would start to just correct him the same way I do when he's reaching the end of the leash. I'm just giving him a flick of the wrist, and we've got him on this prong collar now that we'll show you when you come pick him up, and that's something that's been working super well for him. You won't need it forever, but it really works great for the stage that he's in. And you can see how he's, right there I caught him, responding really well as he reaches the end of the leash. And you'll see in the video as we get him out to the park that we'll show you some outdoor training that we've been doing too. And he does equally well with this technique out there. So we taught him was a simple command. Q, sit. Good. Now, when we teach a command like sit, you can say stay if you want to, but really, I teach sit to sit and keep sitting until I tell you to stop sitting. So the way we tell him that he can stop sitting is we just simply say, okay, Q, good boy. And you can see he was very happy to get that release word. The release okay tells him he can stop sitting and do whatever he likes. And of course, he came running to me, and we love to see that. He doesn't have to. He could have said, okay, fine, and I'm going to go here and get my Kong toy and chew on it some more. He could have done that, but in his spirit, he always wants that connection. And as you'll see in our sign, it's all about the connection. We want that, and the fact that he's looking to come and get that little reward for doing a good job of holding a sit is great. So let's start with that again. Q, sit. And if he doesn't, all I'm doing is no, sit. Tugging up and slightly behind him. I'm just pivoting his butt down, his head up. And there we got him in a sit. So this time I'm going to walk a circle around him as he holds. And this is some of the homework that I'd like you guys to start trying even before you come back for your private lesson. Having him, oh, nope, sit. Hold his sit as you walk circles around in both directions. Nope, sit. And sometimes they're better as you go around them one direction than the other. He seemed like he was doing better when I was going clockwise around him instead of counterclockwise. Sit. But they should get to the point where they can hold equally well as you walk circles all the way around them both ways. Good boy. Good boy. And okay. So we can tell him okay at the end of that, give him some praise. I can even say hup if I want to. Now, if I hadn't have said hup, he shouldn't initiate that, right? And here again, guys, you asked us to help you stop that, and he really likes to jump. And he's hard to resist because half the time you don't mind. He's pretty cute. But if you really want to fix this, and I really believe this is a great way to do it, you just have to be, stubborn about it. If you want him to jump, you can tell him, hup, and here he comes. Good boy. Off. Good boy. That's what we're trying to work on. And if you're really a stickler about it, so, the idea being if you come home from work and you've been gone a while and he comes running up and jumps on you and you just praise him, oh, I miss you, how are you, how was your day? You know how it is. It's undoing all the work that we've been doing, trying to convince him that that's not okay. Instead, you should make sure you don't pet him at all. Tell him off, and as soon as he gets off, you can turn right around, tell him up, and then pet him. And that way you stay consistent. So I'm just telling you, to stop jumping long term, we're going to need your cooperation with that. All right, the next thing, sit, is the heel command. The heel command is actually a position in relationship to your body. And this is the most strict and most important of all the commands we train any dog to do. So it requires the most focus. Oh, no, sit. No, sit. Sit. It requires the most focus and the most intense focus on us that any command ever has. So literally every step of the way now, he has to stay in the heel position, and he's in the heel position now. So his paws, my feet are parallel with each other. He's close enough that I can reach down and touch him, but not so close that he's in my way if I turn right really sharply. When I lead with my inside foot, that's my right foot, that's his signal to heel. Heel. For now, I'm going to give him that verbal command and the signal, but later you can just give that signal alone. So leading with your right foot, he gets up, and you'll see when I lead with my left foot, he's supposed to learn to stay put. So again, this whole idea is making him focus on us all the more to where, good, and they're supposed to sit at the end like that. Leading with the outside foot this time, good. Oops, nope, sit. There you go. Good, Q. And this time with the inside foot, heel. Good, Q. That's it. No, heel. Keep his shoulder should be at or slightly behind your right leg. So he should be right there. Not an inch too far ahead, not an inch too far behind, not an inch too far to the right, and not an inch too far to the left. We really want to keep that exact position, just like that. Very good. And when you stop, be sure he's good. And alternate. This time I'm leading with my outside foot, my left foot. He should stay put. Good. And this time with my inside foot, heel. And now you'll see we've got 2 cones here. And once he's doing good on clockwise circles, and so for you guys, clockwise circles or turning right, it's going to be easier for him to stay focused on you than if I turn the other direction. And the reason is, I'm blocking all the distractions that would be outside of our circle. So if there are a bunch of people in here today and they were with their dogs and they were sitting in these chairs, I would have a lot more distraction if I was going around this direction. Good boy. Because his nose would be right next to those dogs and those people, and he would just have a lot more temptation than when I'm going, clockwise. And now my body is literally blocking him from getting to any of those people or those dogs. So a lot easier. But the way we start is with easy circles. So I would have you practice your right hand circles, clockwise circles. Good boy. And then when he's doing good with that, start practicing some figure eights. And so in order to practice a figure eight, we've got these 2 cones to work around. Your house could have 2 chairs. You could put 2 books on the living room floor. It really doesn't matter. Just 2 points of reference. And then with your inside foot, heel, we're leading off. And we're going to do a figure eight. So that's a left turn around one of these cones. Good boy. In through the middle. That's it. And a right turn around the next cone. Good dog, Q. In through the middle. And a left turn. Good. And here we go. Very nice. And stop. And if he doesn't sit, we're just going to say no sit. He's supposed to sit at the end of the heel command. Here we're going to show you the down. Good boy. Good. And so down just means what it sounds like, just for him to lay down. The down is a really good command because it's the only one I know you could tell a dog to do, and an hour later they could wake up still doing. So we like the down command. Oops, nope. If he gets up, you're just going to use your foot, and you're just going to tap your leash. Nope, down. Like that. Down. There. There you go. Now, if he rolls over for a belly rub, and you give him one, then he'll always roll over. I wait till they get flat like this, and then I praise him. Good boy. Heel. We're going to then go into the heel command so we can practice that again. Remember, at the end of the heel, it's not finished until you stop and they sit. So each time, here again, I'm going to stop. No, sit. Good. And now we're going to try down. The hand signal is just like this. Down. Good dog. Good boy, Q. And next I'm going to show you the come command. Now we have a hand signal for that too. It's just like you would wave somebody towards you. As you give the hand signal, I'd like you to take a couple steps backwards. So look over your shoulder first. Make sure you don't run anything. Come, couple steps. That's it. Sit. Good. And just like the heel, okay. Heel's not finished until you stop and they sit. The come's not finished until they get to you and they sit. Really important. If you don't teach a dog to come and sit, I've learned years and years ago, if you don't take the time to teach them to come and sit, they learn to come and go all at one time, and that is a mess. And so we want a dog to, when we say come straight to us, and that's why I'm going backwards. Good. Make sure he sits. And then praise. Good boy. Okay, just like that. Going backwards draws them to you like a black hole. It's just a really magical thing. Obviously, as he gets better trained and gets more experience, you won't have to go backwards and he'll come straight to where you're at. But mark my words, as you're getting him used to this, and especially around the distractions you'll have at home, take him for walks. And remember that first rule is the only rule. When we go for a walk, he just got to keep some slack in a leash at all times. But then when he gets sniffing something or interested in something else, that's a good time to practice calling him. Just go ahead and give that word, come, good boy, and he likes it. Good, and all he really wants, okay, is your praise. I mean, you can give him a treat now and then if you want to, but we've noticed that he's not into the treats as much as he's into the praise. He loves to get you happy. He's got what we call that high supportive dogality type, just really eager to please, loves the connection. He loves the training just because it makes you connected. It's like holding hands as a couple and walking, across the beach in the, sunset. It's a beautiful experience, and that's what this heel command is like for us. Heel. So practice this heel command a lot, but then at times the heel command is so focused, it's not really something you want to do for miles at a time. You really do it for short periods of time, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Sit. End it with a sit, and then just say okay, and now he can kind of have more relaxation and less focus, but still keeping in mind the one rule that he has to keep some slack in the leash at all times. And that way he can sniff the ground, he can look around, he can be a little ahead, a little behind. It's not such a big deal, but especially when there's distractions, maybe you're crossing a busy street, maybe you're seeing somebody come the other direction, and you're trying to make sure that he stays focused on you for his safety's sake. That's the good time to give the heel command. But when you're practicing, you want to practice, even if there's nothing like that happening around you, just to get him really acquainted with that command for you. Again, the idea is that when we train a dog the words that they know, I can never do that so well that I can just hand that dog back to the owner with a leash and a list of commands, and they live happily ever after. It's a relationship that you are going to want to work on building, just like I worked on building it for me. And so you'll have a shortcut, a big shortcut compared to me, since that I've spent the last 10 days, hours each day, building on that. You won't have to do it to that extent, but you're still going to have to put in the time and do the techniques properly in order to get the results that you want long term. And of course, we're here to help you. So you've got that private lesson, to come back for. And then you also have some drop-in classes that you can attend free of charge. So drop-in classes are only offered to anybody that's done our board and train program or one of our daycare training programs or one of our private training packages, and they're offered up for 3 months. So right now it's any Tuesday night from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. and any Saturday morning from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. You could just bring him out, and this way I can let you practice around a bunch of other dogs. He actually participated in this last Saturday's drop-in class, and I handled him around, I think we had 6 other dogs here, and he did a super job, just, despite all that distraction of the other dogs. So that's available to you as well. Last thing I'm going to show you today is this place command. We're just using this little mat here. Q, place. Good boy. Place only has one rule. He can do whatever he wants. He just can't get off of it. So if he wants to scratch at it or lay down on it or sit on it or stand on it or turn around and do it all over again, he can. If he goes to get off, no, place. Just pull him back on it, tell him place. This is a great technique to use, and you want to pick something at your house, whether it's a beach towel or yoga mat or what have you, and do this at home. And this is a great way to just, have him on a safe place while maybe you have company or maybe, place. You travel, the old Western, they said home is where you hang your hat. Well, for a dog, home is where you place their mat. And he's already been using this one for a while, and you can tell he's kind of getting the idea. Okay, until you get the release word, good boy. So if he gets off of it, it's no big deal. He'll get off of it a lot, especially at your house when you try something new. After his scent gets really permeated on it and he sees that you're going to keep taking him back to it, I recommend you just do this during nighttime or whenever a convenient time is. Usually for me, it's getting home and then watching the news. For that half hour, I'll just have new dogs work that place command. So I'll just put them in their place. If they get up, I've got their leash attached the whole time. I'll drag where they got up from and just say the word no, get them back on their place. And I try to get the point where I can, go and sit across the room and maybe sit on my chair as they're across the room. But in the beginning, just take your chair close because they're going to get up a lot. And you just tell them, cue, place. Good boy. And then we're just going to try to have a seat here. No, place. No, place. Good. Good. And he can lay down like that if he wants to. That's all fine. Good boy. Until I tell him, okay, Q, good boy. Good, and he didn't jump. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell him, pup. Good job. So we're going to put this video together with some video of him outdoors training and throw in some video of some of the many play sessions that he's enjoyed, both at my house and here at the training center. Like I say, he's gotten along with every dog he's met and every person he loves. So we've really enjoyed having him. Take a look at this video, maybe spend a couple days practicing, and then give me a call and we'll set up that private session for you to come back and so I can kind of coach you through all these again. But this video is yours forever, or as long as I have a YouTube channel. You'll have this link, and it's a private link just for you. You can click on it anytime you want a refresher, but I do hope that you'll spend about 20 minutes a day practice with him, and that's each of you. And I recommend that for 10 solid days in order to get that foundation started. And then from there, if you participate in even every other week kind of drop-in class type of thing, I think you'll see that within the 3 months that you'll have the opportunity to do that, you guys are really going to build a great relationship with him and really enjoy him. Wonderful dog. Thanks again for your trust in us. I really enjoyed having him. And as always, happy training. Off. Good boy. Okay. Good job, Q. Good boy. Come on, Q. Good boy. All right. All right, so we're just taking one more walk around our neighborhood with Q. We've really enjoyed his stay, and he's doing a super good job for us. Had quite a bit of rain this morning, but a little bit of a break in the action here this afternoon. Right now we're just doing that one rule command. I call it the unspoken command, and if you want to put a word to it, you could call it walk, I guess. But the idea is that he has just the one rule here, and that is to keep a little slack in the leash. The leash should never get tight at any time for any reason, and if it does, that's what we do is stop him from going forward right before he reaches the end. And you can decide how much leash he gets. If there's not a lot going on, I might give him all 6 foot of my leash here. If there's a lot going on, a lot of distractions, or maybe some cars or danger, you could kind of wind up the leash. But the same rule still applies. He needs to keep some slack in that length of leash. So here we're one of our healthy habits. Q, sit. Good boy. No, sit. Sit. Q. Sit. Good. No. Sit. Good. Heel. And we're going to heel across the street. Now, the heel command has a lot of rules, and at the training center we showed you how that's supposed to look. It's a little more distracting outdoors with the smells and the wind blowing. No, heel. There you go. Good cue. Good. No, heel. Sit. Good. Okay. So when I give the okay word, he's okay to go forward and do doggy things. He can sniff around, go potty, be out ahead. You can go to the right, he can go to the left, he can lag behind a little bit. He just shouldn't get to the end of the leash at any time for any reason. Good. Good boy. We've been working a lot on his marking. So you notice there he urinated, he lifted his leg there. And so we're going to call that good for the rest of our walk. So from here on out, if he goes to lift his leg, I'm just going to give that bit of a correction and say no. He was really almost obsessed with marking when we first got him. Like every 10 steps or so, he was looking to lift his leg on something. And part of that is his age and stuff and the fact that he's not neutered. But this is the time to kind of nip it in the bud. And you'll be glad that you did. It's just one of those things that often dogs start. And if we don't stop it, they'll do it for their whole life. Q, sit. So again, at the corner here, sit. Good. Heel. Going to do that heel command across the street. Good. There you go. Good, Q. And Q, sit. Good boy. Heel. Good. That's what we like. That's a good dog. And we'll do one more sit here at the end. Always end your heel with a stop and a sit. Okay, Q. And now we're back to a more relaxed command. So as you can see, that heel command is really instrumental for crossing streets and keeping him close when there's maybe some danger or big distractions that may be coming your way, that sort of thing. The rest of the time, just go with this loose walking idea. Again, the only rule, he shouldn't pull. And so right before he reaches the end at any time in any direction, we're just going to proactively tug back in the opposite direction. Here we go. Good boy, Q. Good. You can tell by his tail, the way he carries himself, he's having a good time with this. And we enjoy walking him. I hope you guys get out and do a lot of the same. So much happens during a walk. Cars going by like this one, people getting out of their cars in the driveway like coming up here, rabbits, squirrels, birds, kids, bikes, school buses. We've walked past a lot of stuff. Hey guys, not bad. Yeah, we got a little King Cavalier Charles Spaniel that we're gonna have for just the rest of the day. He's going home today, so we had him for 10 days. He's a great little dog. What'd you do to your arm?
Tore my rotator.
Ouch.
On this side.
Yeah.
Just 2 years ago.
Oh, gee. Good boy. So you probably notice this prong collar that he's still wearing. I'm going to suggest you guys invest in one of these. It's not something he'll need forever, but at his age and just his spunkiness, I've noticed that times that I don't have it on him, I always wish I did. So we put him on that regular buckle collar and try to take a walk with him, and he gets right back to kind of tugging everywhere and doesn't really seem to respond to the techniques. But with this little prong collar, just the tiniest bit of pressure activates the collar and it stops him from pulling. And so you'll find that you barely have to tug. In fact, you have to be careful not to tug too hard. It won't really injure him, but it doesn't feel good. It kind of works off of pressure points, and the harder you tug, the harder it squeezes those pressure points around his neck. And so you don't really need to put a lot of pressure on it. Having said that, we've noticed that old Q can be a bit of a drama queen at times, and sometimes he overreacts to things just verbally that really aren't that bad. So don't feel bad if once in a while he really races out ahead and you give that little tug back and he yelps a little bit. This is just him being surprised. It's not as bad as he makes it sound sometimes, but it definitely is needed for his training, at least like I said, for a while longer. Typically a dog like this, you know, till the time they're a year to a year and a half, that's when you really need the help of some tools. And then, you know, for the rest of their life, you get to enjoy the benefits of all that training. So working our way back toward the house now, and he's recrossing the path that he just walked on. Of course, that gives him something to think about where he's been just a little while before, and it's good little exercise for you guys to do at home. Helps him kind of know which way home is in the event they ever were to get loose. So we like to give him that opportunity to kind of hunt his way back. Good boy. Right there, I caught him just getting a little too happy, too excited, running out ahead, but you can see that little bit of tug stopped him, and working really good. Q, sit. Once in a while, just do your sit command. And if he doesn't, you're just lifting up and slightly behind him. Sit until his little butt hits the ground. That's it. Good. And the fact that the sidewalk's slightly wet, nope, sit, is maybe a little aversion for him wanting to sit. But again, this is just one of those common distractions. Okay, it rains a lot and sidewalks are going to be wet. And we want a dog to kind of get used to sitting on wet concrete, and maybe even, you know, in the snow. They may have to sit on some snow sometime. And this is all just good training, you know. They can learn how to do all that good stuff. He just needs a lot of life experience now because he is so young. He just hasn't really experienced much of life yet. This is his very first summer, and soon it'll be his very first fall. And you know, I guess he was maybe born in the winter, but he probably doesn't remember any of that. So he'll get a first winter under his belt, kind of, and then into spring, you know, probably have some memories of that. But again, very, very young. So likely he's gonna, you know, spend a couple of years really getting around the annual block and getting to know changes of seasons and all the distractions that come with each. If I didn't mention it before, we have a saying we use all the time. We say distractions are to dog training as weights are to weightlifting. And of course, the stronger you are as a person, the more weight you can lift. And the better trained you are as a dog, the more distractions you can work through. And so when you have a young dog like this, you know, we've worked hard and taught him the meaning of all kinds of words this week, these last 10 days, but he has to have those words proven as he starts to encounter distractions. And so, you know, sitting inside for a treat in somebody's living room is much easier than sitting outside for no treat with cars and people coming by. Sit. Q, sit. Good boy. Heel. So once again, we're heeling across streets. Heel. And if he's in the proper heel position, he should never get under your feet. So here again, guys, this is just him being young and distracting. Good. Heel. That's it. And one more sit here. Sit. Sit. Good. Okay. And there we're giving him, you know, most all the leash here because we don't have much distraction now, and letting him just kind of sniff around. Still king though, so he can sniff and see where maybe other dogs have marked, but that doesn't mean he should mark over that. And that way he just starts to enjoy walks with you guys, as opposed to, you know, that obsession dogs often develop where, you know, they call it a pissing contest for a reason. You know, he wants to go and see who has marked over his spot so he can mark back over their spot, and they come back and mark over his spot again, and on it goes. And pretty soon you have dogs just out on a mission to get to the next spot, make sure everything's the way they left it, and they, you know, just don't focus on you at all. They just want to get out and do their thing, and so you don't really get to enjoy that connection and company with them. Whereas if we, you know, continue to do like we are and make it clear that we're not going to have that marking thing, he'll give up on it. Sit. Good. Heel. No, heel. Good boy. Heel. Good. Sit. Oh, sit. Okay. Good dog. Good. Good. Show you one other thing while we're at it here. Another healthy habit, sit, is how we load in the car. Cue, sit. Good. No, sit. No, sit. No. No, sit. Hup. Good boy. He's really athletic for his size, and as you can see, he, when you give that hup word, he's able to jump right up in there. Good job, Q. Okay, but we're not leaving anywhere. Going back inside. Good boy. Good job, Q. Okay, good boy. Awesome. Good job, Q. Good job, buddy. Good job, bud. Yes, that good boy. Good dog. Good dog. Come on, Bo. Good boy. Good dog. There we go. Bo. Good boy, Bo. Good boy.